Welcome to this explainer. I am so thrilled you're here because today we are tackling a topic that, let's be honest, can feel incredibly overwhelming when you're just starting out. Yep, we're talking about video editing. If you have ever opened up a piece of software and just stared at a completely blank timeline, staring at a million confusing buttons, I totally understand how daunting that is. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be a frustrating, pull your hair out experience every single time? Today, we are breaking down a really seamless 5-step workflow that's going to completely transform how you approach your edits.
So if you're raising your hand to that question right now, trust me, you are not alone. So many beginners get bogged down by messy timelines, lost files, and a process that feels like it takes literally days just to finish a single short clip. But there is a very simple cure to this beginner's frustration. And guess what? It's not about buying the absolute most expensive software or learning Hollywood-level visual effects. It is entirely about having a reliable system. I absolutely love this quote from our source material. When you get the foundations right, you can grow and succeed. You see, editing isn't magic. It's really just a structured checklist. Once you get that foundation built into your normal routine, the anxiety just sort of melts away, and you can focus on actually being creative.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We're going to conquer this in 5 distinct steps: getting organized, project setup, trimming A-roll, adding engaging visuals, and the final export. If you just follow these in order, you are going to crush your edits. Starting right off with step number 1, get organized. Now, plot twist, this step actually happens before you even open your editing software. Setting up your digital workspace is the real secret to a smooth edit. You're going to want to create a main folder on your computer and name it using a very specific convention: the date followed by the video title. So, for example, 2022-03-15, How to Start a Podcast. This keeps your archives perfectly chronological. Then, inside that main folder, you just create 2 subfolders, one named A-roll and one named B-roll. So when you drag your files over from your camera or your smartphone, they go straight into these designated folders. No more searching your entire hard drive for that one missing clip. And hey, quick pro tip for you here. Video files are notoriously massive. So if you're working on a laptop and you find yourself constantly running out of storage space, definitely invest in a fast external drive. A 2TB SSD, something like the Samsung T7 that our source mentions, is small, incredibly fast, and honestly the absolute best workaround to keep your computer running smoothly while you edit. Moving right along to step 2, project setup. This is the moment where you actually open up your software. If you're a beginner, I highly recommend using something super user-friendly like Camtasia. The mechanics here are so simple. First, open the app. Second, immediately hit Save As and save this project file directly into that highly organized folder you just made in step 1. Doing this ensures absolutely nothing breaks if you have to move files around later. And third, just import your media into the software and drag it right onto your timeline. Now for step 3, trimming A-roll. This right here is the true core of your edit. Think of it kind of like sculpting a block of clay, You're just trimming down all the excess fluff to reveal the masterpiece hidden inside. Your A-roll is simply your primary talking head footage. It's the stuff that drives your main narrative. Your only goal here is to use your software's split or splice tool, like hitting Command-T on a Mac if you're using Camtasia, to cut out the dead space, the ums, and the flubs. Now, I am going to share a massive time-saving hack with you. When you sit down to trim that A-roll, try editing backwards. I know, it sounds totally counterintuitive, right? But it is absolutely brilliant. Let's break down the logic behind this. When you shoot a video and you mess up a line, what do you usually do? You pause, take a breath, and you do another take. And if you mess that one up, you do it again. This basically means your very last take is almost always your best perfect take. Now, if you edit chronologically from the start, you are forcing yourself to watch every single bad take, evaluate it, and cut it. But if you start at the end of your timeline and work backwards, boom, you instantly hit the perfect take first. You keep it, slice right before it starts, and simply delete all the garbage takes that came before it. If you pair this with a magnetic timeline feature that automatically snaps your clips together when you delete those gaps, you are going to save hours, literally hours. To put this into perspective, let's look at a real-world example from our source material. The creator sat down to record a single video about starting a podcast. The raw, unedited footage just sitting there on the timeline, 37 minutes long. But check this out. After trimming out all the mistakes using that backwards editing method we just talked about, the final A-roll sequence was only 9.5 minutes long. That means there were over 20 minutes of sheer mistakes, awkward pauses, and flubs.
I think this brilliantly normalizes a huge point for beginners. Absolutely everyone makes mistakes on camera. Do not let a messy recording session discourage you because the real magic happens in the trim. All right, moving to step 4, engaging visuals. Because let's be real, a 9-minute video of just a talking head can get a little monotonous. This is exactly where B-roll comes in to keep your viewer's attention absolutely glued to the screen. B-roll is just supplementary visual footage that goes over your A-roll to enhance or demonstrate whatever it is you're talking about. And hey, if the idea of going out and filming extra cinematic shots stresses you out, take a deep breath. You don't actually have to shoot it yourself. You can easily use databases of stock footage, places like TechSmith Assets, which have millions of high-quality clips just ready to go. Let's go through some rapid-fire tips for layering these visuals smoothly. First, use super simple keyword searches in your stock database, like podcast or microphone, to find exactly what you need fast. Second, when you drag that B-roll clip onto your timeline, make sure you mute its audio track so it doesn't accidentally clash with your main speaking track. Third, leverage built-in templates to add some moving on-screen text. Text is incredibly powerful because it literally forces the viewer to actively read the screen, which resets their attention span. And finally, save your text presets. Once you find a font, color, and style combination that you love, save it as a template so you never ever have to rebuild it from scratch again. And that brings us to step 5, the final export. You have organized, you've trimmed, you've added awesome visuals. Now it's time to bundle it all up into a file you can actually share with the world. But wait, before you slam that render button, run through this critical final checklist. First, watch the video all the way through with fresh eyes to catch any lingering spelling errors in your text, or maybe a weird audio cut you missed. Second, when you do render, save that final video file right back into your original project folder to keep the whole shebang beautifully contained. Third, and this one is absolutely vital for quality, match your export settings to your original camera settings. If you filmed in 4K resolution at 24 frames per second, make perfectly sure your export settings are exactly 4K at 24 frames per second. That is the secret to a super crisp, high-quality final product. You know, the absolutely crucial point here is not to seek perfection right out of the gate. Editing is a journey. I really want to leave you with this powerful mantra from our source. Just get 1% better with every video you edit. Maybe on your very first try, you just focus on getting that folder structure right. On your next one, you try editing backwards. On the third, you experiment with some stock B-roll. It is all about that incremental progress. So as we wrap up this explainer, ask yourself this. What video are you going to edit today to get 1% better? Don't let the fear of a messy timeline hold you back for another second. You now have the exact 5-step roadmap. Go hit record, open up that software, and just start editing. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I really can't wait to see what you create.